was as soon as Rafter Rafale died in Garage.
Can we not call him that?
I call him what I want. I've got the microphone. Once VP had taken out, I mean, you're putting your SMG-11 player on a position where he has to take really tight gunfights and where he can dictate the round. In my mind, you move maybe Renshiro up there and put the 1.5 sight on Legion. Maybe you want your Legion downstairs so he can impact shit the Garage. I don't know what the idea is. Maybe even, I mean, get Rafale to run the MP5K with the 1.5 sight. Then at least he can take these fights because he was completely blindsided in Rafters. Even if he only has the SMG left and he just goes prone and tries to wait for them to nade him, he would have done better than what he did, which was peeking out and dying early. As soon as VP took out that player in Garage, BDS got desperate. Virtus.pro had a 5v3 man advantage, which they furthered to a 5v1.
Yeah, it was a difficult position there for Rafale because you can see he was kind of trying to look down below him, and you can't watch out for all these angles at the same time. So if someone is at the door, as WTG was, you are going to find yourself getting caught out. And in that instance, you basically hand the Garage control over to the attacking team. Now, clearly, BDS have decided to come back to the same site. Question is, are Virtus.pro going to go for the same thing? Are BDS going to go for the same thing? They'll definitely have been able to identify where those problems were before. Now, Alems obviously wasn't playing Bandit before, so that's a good start straight off the bat.
Yeah, they trade out the Malusi, and honestly, I didn't see the Malusi's gadgets being effective, and Shaco died right at the start. So, ooh, that's a nice Claymore. That'll prevent a run out, at least if the player doing so gets a bit too greedy. So, yeah, the Bandit is the main change here, right? So we're going to need to see Virtus.pro ensure that they counter this Bandit trick. I've seen teams deal with this in lots of different ways. The most on-meta way to do this was using Zephyr's concussions. Now you can do this in two ways. I love this. Okay, so an explosion is going to open up the floor. Boom. Now the concussion can go through the floor, but it misses. Second one hits, but the damage is done. Alems managed to get that Bandit trick down. It was a beautiful strategy from VP, but for whatever reason, it did not work. And that is one set of aces gone, and more importantly, all of the concussions from Zephyr gone.
Not a good position to be in if you're Virtus.pro, who now just donated a lot of time and resources to going for a strategy that did not work. Shockwave could very nearly get his first kill, and I think that's Shaiko in there. It is indeed. He could get caught out once again, but VP still have to figure out their way in. Yet to open up the server wall, and it did look like maybe they could be thinking about opening up Garage as well, but as it stands, I suspect that Rafale's still in there. He is, and instead it's looking like they want to come through the construction way. Yeah,
it's a complete change of tack here from Virtus.pro. They're like, all right, we can't breach that wall. Let's rotate. Let's go for construction instead. And, well, they found the first pick, but Shaiko had already moved his ADS into a position which would have protected the shield, I believe. No, okay, there is actually no shield in cache. It's only one. So, well, that's going to help, I guess, that ADS prevent some nades. But here comes through the Bandit battery disabled thanks to the EMP. Pasha to breach the wall with his Excaro. Still has one set left he could use to enable another angle. This is actually still winnable here for VP. They've got that man advantage, and they've decently set up, but Alems has a strong position in TV and no breach on the Kennel's wall to suppress him.
Yeah, basically they've got to try and hold off a one-dimensional push, and they're going to start by doing that as Renshiro gets a nice clean 2K from behind. As you mentioned, BDS had that opportunity, but Virtus.pro retaliating. Income 2 kills for themselves, and now they still have that man advantage.
Oh no!
2 players, but there's so few. Renshiro, he's trying to stop this from happening, and because the time runs out, Virtus.pro don't get the opportunity to take the round. But it was a valiant effort given what disadvantage they were at nonetheless.
Yeah, massive credit to VP for making that happen and getting such a good position after failing to deal with that Bandit trick. But my God, I don't know how Renshiro was allowed to go for a 3K flank from Logi, but he single-handedly won that round. 100%. Renshiro just won that round for BDS. Look at him, 12-3. That's a 4.0 KD right now. He flew a bit under the radar for me on his attack, despite clearly having a half playing the Thermite. And now he's stepped it up even massively on his defense. BDS They've won 2 defenses here, and my goodness, it could well be a map for then a series 2-0. Might be early to call, Geo, but Virtus.pro need to retaliate.
It is getting dangerously close. In that last round, I mean, it wasn't even like Virtus.pro had many options of being able to protect themselves from what Renshiro did because of how many drones had already been spent. So it's not like they could have, you know, had flank drones set up, they could check. They didn't have enough time to really do anything like that anyway. So a real difficult position for them. And this could be another difficult position for them to find themselves in as well. Given that back in round 7, BDS successfully defended this site, and Virtus.pro haven't had another opportunity to prove themselves. And if they fail to do so, then BDS will be taking this game to match point. And not only will Virtus.pro have to haul it into overtime to have a hope of winning, but they'll have to have quite a few flawless rounds, or rather a flawless streak, towards the 6th round themselves to keep themselves in the game. That hasn't happened at all while Virtus.pro and BDS have been playing against each other. It's been constantly flip-flopping, so that's not something they can rely upon.
We haven't seen either team get a 2-round lead all series, I don't believe. I'm just having a look now. Yeah, we've never seen it. Either team get a 2-round lead. So this is so telling here if BDS can win this basement defense. They've made some changes. They've switched the mute onto a lens, which will allow Bride to play the smoke, which he previously omitted on this bomb site. Going for a full turtle strategy. BDS deciding not to go for the roam they did last time. It clearly did not work the way they hoped. Rafale's also off the Kaid and on the Maestro, so it looks like BDS are playing a much more passive style defense. Impacts as well from that Maestro can deny a breach on the church wall. We're likely to see that in a moment, but the mute jam is going to make it very difficult here. The MPS to come through. Rafale should be able to clear up both of those sets. No, just the top one. And there is still a breach on the church wall, but not one that can be used to enter.
He also has the backup from Renshiro as well, and a lens present over towards a pulse spot, I suppose, as some people call it, where we did see Shaiko use the soft wall so effectively, and he has angles up as well. So many directions are being covered here by BDS, and it could make it very difficult for Virtus.pro. In comes the next attempt at the impact. That's going to make it once again.
That's all the hard breach. That's all of the hard breach gone. BDS just needed an extra set of impact grenades, and that was exactly what they needed to deny an entryway on the church wall. Virtus.pro are going to have to do something magical right now, because by all rights, BDS should win this.
Virtus.pro now finding themselves in a similar situation to last time, where they have to take a one-dimensional route pretty much because of their lack of options for hard breach. They're dropping down into Moto, and Raski's trying to see what he can get, but Renshiro gets it first. Shaiko to follow up as well. Suddenly Virtus.pro are just falling to their knees, and Shockwave is the only one left. BDS take it to match point, and this is where who is going to the grand finals could be decided, all off the back of an absolutely dominating round from BDS.
The adaptation from BDS, that was exactly what they needed. An extra set of impacts and a couple shields to help lean into that anchor strategy. For the first time this series, one of these teams has a 2-round lead. BDS, they are up on their map pick after finally breaking the curse and winning Villa. It looks like it was not a jinx, Geo. Winning Villa was not the answer for Virtus.pro. BDS, my goodness, now they have a 2-round buffer here to take the series 2-0 and get a rematch with Team Empire in the grand final.
Right now, Virtus.pro are going to be desperately wishing that the magazine size of the MPX was larger. And the Deagle as well, I suppose. For those who missed it,
just needed more bullets.
Back on Villa, which was Virtus.pro's map, we were in overtime the final round, and Virtus.pro had to concede the round because Milan, who was the last player standing, ran out of ammunition. And it was heartbreaking because it was so close. And now coming into BDS's map, they would have known that they were at the disadvantage. They were on the back foot, and they fought so valiantly, and it still could be won by them. It's not over for Virtus.pro just yet. point still stands is they could have had that extra map behind them. And after what happened in the August Major, where BDS beat Virtus.pro 2-0 in the lower bracket finals, right now they're going to be experiencing flashbacks of that very experience. Not a nice place to be if you're Virtus.pro, but this is a team with fortitude and skill. It's not over yet, and they could still